Welcome back to Biz Asia America. We continue our newest series on Latin America's middle class. We'll look at how the political and economic changes are transforming societies across that continent. And tonight, we turn to Cuba, where Fidel Castro's revolution set out to create a classless society where everyone, from doctors to factory workers, were paid the same. The World Bank defines middle-class Latin Americans as those earning between $10 and $50 a day. Today, the average state salary in Cuba is around 450 pesos or $20 a month. Even senior professionals earn just $40 a month. For an in-depth look at Cuba's middle class, Michael Voss joins us live from Havana. Michael?
Phil, Cuba's President Raul Castro has launched a series of reforms, replacing the concept of an egalitarian society with one of equal access to jobs, education, health and other benefits. He's now allowed people to open and run their own small businesses. But it's not the professional classes who are benefiting financially from these reforms. Today's income distribution in Cuba comes from elsewhere. Odla Nieres Cordero and her daughter live a modest but relatively comfortable life in Havana. She's a theatre wardrobe manager on a state salary of about $20 a month. Yet she has a mobile phone. 10-year-old Liu has her own television in her bedroom, and the apartment has air conditioning. All of it possible because her husband is working in Europe and sending money home each month. I can't imagine what life would be like without this help, Mrs. Cordero told me, and she's not alone. On the roads, there are a growing number of modern, privately owned cars. There's no shortage of customers at Havana's shopping malls, which mainly sell imported goods for hard currency. Yet middle-class Cubans are falling behind. With Cuba's emphasis on education, about a quarter of the working population are either professionals or technicians, but almost all of them are employed by the state, earning roughly the same as everybody else. Now, with Cuba's economic reforms, there's a new class emerging. Small businesses are opening all over the country. While most are very small affairs, some are starting to do well. Rafael Hernandez edits a monthly journal called Temas, which specializes in articles on culture, ideology, and society.
A growing income differential is a concern for everybody. It's a concern for the majority of Cubans. It's a concern for the government. But the question of different salaries, different income is part of what is accepted today in Cuba. This is not a classless society. This is not a uniform society anymore.
As this transformation takes place, one of the major class divides in Cuba today is between those with relatives abroad and those without. There are some other Cubans who do have access legally to foreign currency, like those working with the tourist industry, and professionals like doctors who go abroad for a year or two on medical missions and do earn a small amount of money there. And now with this new small business community emerging, I think we could see a proper middle class developing in the not too distant future. Phil.
Michael, you mentioned in your report the importance of remittances or transfers of incomes to Cubans on state salary. How difficult is it for ordinary Cubans to survive on just $20 a month?
I think for anybody who's trying to make ends meet on a state salary, it is really tough. But what you don't see here is the abject poverty you find in several other countries across the region. There aren't homeless people sleeping in doorways. There aren't people dying of malnutrition. You do here have, for example, the ration card with some basic foodstuffs at heavily subsidized prices, and very few people, for example, pay rent. There is a question you hear quite often asked around here is, if you could choose which country in South America or Latin America you'd be born into, but not which class you'd go into, where would you choose? Cuba may not be top of the list, but it's certainly not at the bottom.